YouTube! What is going on, y'all? It's your boy Young Texas and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Have you ever wanted to be a video game tester? Someone that gets to try out video games before they're released, or try out the latest updates before they go live to see how they'll work in-game and give feedback to the developers? I have to tell you, being a video game tester was something that always interested me because I loved the idea of getting new content early and being able to give my feedback into the game and maybe even see that feedback be put into use. Now that said, I was actually given the opportunity a few months ago to be a game tester for a game called Leap, an upcoming first-person shooter developed by Blue Isle Studios. However, being a huge fan of Call of Duty, I always thought it would be interesting to be a game developer or game tester for Call of Duty and actually get to see the inner workings of one of my favorite franchises of all time. Now, I've had some friends recently actually be pulled into calls with developers and get access to new content early, such as the new Warzone map Caldera, and I always thought it would be incredibly cool to be part of that game testing or really feedback team for Call of Duty. Now, although not on that same level, of course, I was actually given the opportunity to see some possible upcoming changes in Call of Duty. That said, though, I wasn't the only person, and actually every single player of Call of Duty Vanguard was given that opportunity. Now, you may have noticed in the featured playlist recently, there was a playlist called Shipment, DOS, Dome, and of course, this was a playlist including Shipment, DOS House, and Dome, three of the smallest maps on Call of Duty Vanguard. One thing that I think all players could agree upon regarding these three maps, and it is of course given the fact that they are the smallest maps in the game, is that at times the spawns were pretty horrific. That said, players called for Call of Duty to really try and fix the spawn systems, especially on these three small maps, because plenty of times players were spawning in and they were already on the other end of a barrel and it didn't end well. Alongside the Shipment DOS Dome playlist, however, there was a new playlist called an experimental playlist, and this was the first time we had ever seen anything like this in Call of Duty. Essentially, this playlist was actually the Shipment, DOS House, and Dome playlist, but with some changes that were exclusive to this playlist that the developers were considering widespread implementing across Vanguard. Now, these changes were of course focused on the spawn issues within these three small maps. Now, of course, the developers don't want players to be spawning in danger right when they spawn, so the biggest focus was making sure that players would spawn in a position that they weren't going to die right when they spawned. Now, the gameplay footage that you are seeing in the background is actually my own footage from my time playing the experimental playlist. Now, I played quite a few games in this experimental playlist because I really wanted to get a good grip of the playlist and the changes implemented before I even made a video on it. That said, I actually do think that there were some changes to the spawns. Now, you can see, and I'm not sure if it's in this specific gameplay, but there are some spawn issues still, just a few. But honestly, the spawns were a lot better and those unfortunate spawns were happening a lot less. That being said, of course, given the data and the player feedback from this, the developers are going to continue to tweak the changes that need to be made, and of course, things are only going to get better with time. That said, I also believe that there were some weapon changes as well, and some weapon balancing, some buffs and nerfs, some attachment changes and things like that that were, again, exclusive to this playlist. I can tell you, I don't know if it was some sort of placebo effect, but my well gun definitely felt a little bit different. Now, throughout Vanguard, one of the biggest issues outside of the spawns, and you never really thought this would be an issue in Call of Duty, but the counter spy planes were way too overpowered. I've made videos in the past talking about why the counter spy plane needed to be nerfed, complaints about the counter spy plane, but honestly, it looks like that with this experimental playlist, the counter spy plane is getting some big changes. One of the biggest issues when people would call in a counter spy plane is, for example, if my enemy team called in a counter spy plane, not only did it make my map all glitchy, but also I couldn't call in my own counter spy plane. There were a lot of streaks that I couldn't call in. However, with this experimental playlist, those things have changed. You can actually now call in a counter spy plane when your enemies have a counter spy plane up. That wasn't something you could do in the past. You literally could not call in a counter spy plane if you were currently being counter spy planed, which obviously caused a whole lot of issues, but now you can. Now I might sound absolutely ridiculous, and this could be fully implemented into Vanguard already, the whole countering a counter spy plane thing. I personally haven't noticed it in the full game yet, and only really first noticed it in the experimental playlist. If someone wants to let me know down in the comments below if I'm just completely wrong about this counter spy plane thing, that'd be great. Honestly though, given the fact that developers are making an experimental playlist, this really shows that within Vanguard, they do want player feedback and they really want to implement it. This is similar to how with Warzone, Raven Software put out a Twitter poll to make some changes in Warzone, and now we're seeing experimental playlists in Vanguard. I gotta tell you, as a player and a fan of Call of Duty and someone that is stuck by this franchise through thick and thin, it's really, really nice and refreshing to see that developers are actually taking an active listen to what the player base wants. All of that said though, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens, especially with this experimental playlist. Given the fact that season 3 is just around the corner, we might see some big changes that were talked about with this experimental playlist and some things that were found in this experimental playlist implemented with season 3. But yeah guys, that is effectively going to wrap up today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to drop a like and comment on it down below. Let me know what changes you guys want to see in Vanguard. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to turn on those notifications so you never miss any of my daily uploads. For even more from me, be sure to check out the links in the description below to connect with me on all of my social media so you never miss any of my content. Also, for the latest and greatest Call of Duty news, intel, and so much more, be sure to use the links in the description below to connect with IPC on all of our social medias as well as our website. But other than that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and that's been it. Peace.